I'm going out, I gotta go. I'll bang a rang on the radio. So turn it up, I'm telling you. I think I'm ready for something new. Hey, hello, it's nice to meet ya. Hey, come in and have a slice of pizza. Hey, hello, it's nice to meet ya. Hey, come in and have a slice of pizza.
Hi, how are you? So today I'm joined by Stefan Beham. Is that how you pronounce your name?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And you're the head of the label SBÄM. So for those of you who don't know, SBÄM is based in Linz, Austria, and it's growing to be one of the biggest labels in Europe for punk rock. And you've also created artwork for bands like NOFX, Sum 41, and Lagwagon. So how long have you been doing graphic design, and did you start doing that first, or did you start with the festival?
Um, Now I started artworks first because I was working for different advertising agencies in Europe. And I think I started to do posters in 2016, but I think I started SBÄM in 2018, and the first thing we did with SBÄM was artworks, and then we did the festival and then the label. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And so what has been your favorite design that you've created so far?
That's that's a difficult question. Who I did so many posters. I think my favorite one, it's not because of the artwork, but it's I did the NoFX None design.
Oh yeah, yeah, I saw
It's
that
my
one.
first design I did for NoFX, and it's my favorite band, so this is probably my all-time favorite design.
Cool.
Yeah.
And I heard you also did some skateboard designs for some bands. Can you tell me about how that came about? And do you like to skateboard?
I used to I did skateboarding when I was, I think, 20 or something like that. Now
Yeah.
I'm just rolling around. Um, yeah. Um, we started to do some skateboards for bands like Pulley, I think Snuff, No Fun at All, and all these bands. And then we
Mhm.
did some skateboards for the festival and for our own brand. So that's that's why we did skateboards,
Yeah.
but it's not a big thing for us. We just do this now and then, and yeah, we're gonna do some for the new festival, and yeah, it always depends on the band if they're down to do that, and if it makes sense to do a skateboard with them. Yeah, it's different
Cool.
sometimes.
And do you ever plan to sell your artwork online or anything?
Um, I always when I started to shop with the label, we decided to do some limited poster editions.
Mhm.
We're gonna sell, but not in a big thing. We always produce them on demand. We're not gonna print thousands of them. We just, if someone buys them, we're gonna print them and sign them, and that's it.
Okay.
It's not a big
Okay.
thing.
So SBÄM had an art gallery and like a pop-up record store with live music in Fullerton, California,
Mhm.
a while back. And how was that? Were the bands playing in the record store?
Yeah, exactly. We did this. Gabby from the Venomous Pinks organized everything, I think, with Monty from DFL. And it was we were there from, I think, January 10 till January 20 to do some filming for a documentary.
Mhm.
And we tried to film as much as possible. We went to some shows. We did some interviews with like Kevin Lyman, Mott Sun,
Oh, cool.
Thomas Boy, Thomas Nicholas from American Pie,
Yeah.
um, Bad Cop, The Last Gang. And then we did this pop-up store thing. It was pretty cool because the program skateboards, that's the shop, it
Mhm.
was totally packed and it was pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah, I saw a couple videos of that
Yeah,
on like Instagram. That's really cool.
yeah, totally.
And what bands would you like to create artwork for in the future?
Um,
Like any that you
um,
haven't done artwork for yet?
yeah, I would love to do something for Green Day,
Okay.
some more stuff for Blink-182. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's yeah, I'm currently working on some NoFX stuff. Because they're breaking up and we're gonna have a show in Linz and it's one of the last shows and we're gonna get a live um LP there and I'm gonna do the cover right now. Yeah, there are tons of bands like yeah, like I said, Green Day would be rad, Foo Fighters,
Yeah.
My Chemical Romance and
Oh,
all this
yeah. That'd be
thing. Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
And do you have any advice for people who would like to do graphic design as a career, but they're not sure where to start?
Um if I had the chance to do all of this again, I'm not sure how I would start this because I studied graphic design and I studied art, and I was working in advertising agencies, I think 15 or 16 years, and
Mhm.
I was so sick of it because you always have to deal with clients and yeah, everybody knows everything better and has better taste than the artist. Um,
Yeah.
that's that's kind of annoying, but if you want to do graphic design and do poster art for bands, I think that's also difficult because there are tons of good graphic designers out there and
Mhm.
tons of good illustrators. I think you have to keep believe in yourself and to keep bothering bands because I think
Mhm.
when I started this, I sent a couple of thousand messages
Yeah.
and emails to all the bands, and nobody got replied to me. And then I started to do posters and just send it to them and said if they want to have it, they can use it. And um, it was pretty hard the first 2 years because,
Mhm.
like I said, nobody was getting back to me. Yeah, you have to keep pushing and bothering people to get what you want.
Yeah. Cool. So, how did you first get into punk and pop punk music?
Um, I, I think it all really started when I heard Basket Case from Green Day.
Yeah.
Uh, that's I saw the video. That's was kind of a starting point for me. But my older brother always listened to NoFX, and this became my favorite band. And then I think it was easier back then because I was always in the record store, and then I picked a NoFX record and read the booklet, read the credits, and then I saw all these bands they thanked, and then I
Mhm.
just picked up the other records and listened to them, and so I I became a fan of Lagwagon, Use for a Name, all these Fat Records bands, and yeah, it this was the beginning of my love for punk rock. Yeah.
Cool. That's awesome. And so, what does spam mean, or like, does it stand for anything?
That's some mixed letters of my name. It's because
Okay.
Stefan
Yeah.
Beham, and that's some mixed up thing. And it was kind of short thing because I did I think one of the first designs I did was for Cherry Cape, and I didn't want to do just add my name on it, so I
Hmm.
needed some kind of
Okay.
brand and yeah. I decided to use this. It was kind of dumb at the beginning because everyone thought it's going to be spam mail, and all my emails ended up in a spam folder, a junk folder. But now I had to stick with it, and yeah.
That's cool. I like that. And in June, Spam is going to have a festival featuring the last official NoFX show in Austria, along with
Mhm,
many other well known bands like Rancid, Anti Flag, Less Than Jake, Mod Sun, and lots more. So I
mhm.
heard there's going to be a documentary made of that festival. And can you tell me about that?
Yeah, it's not especially about the festival. We started the filming for the documentary last year at Spamfest.
Okay.
Then we did some. some more filming in January this year in LA and Vegas, and yeah, that's both cities we did some filming. And it's not about the festival, it's about SBÄM and the whole punk scene. It's beginning in the 90s to the new pop punk wave now. It's kind of a story, and we're a little bit in the center, and sometimes we're telling the stories, and we have tons of people are doing interviews and talking about their experience with the DIY scene and how they came into punk rock. And when we started this, it was just an idea to do a documentary about the festival and do just 60 minutes of live footage and interviews. But then we found some distributor to make it more big, and they totally like the thing we're doing. And now the plan is that it's gonna end up at Netflix.
Oh, cool.
And the plan is to have between 2 and 4 episodes. And the first one should air this year. We don't know exactly when because we're still filming and waiting on the distribution company. But it's getting more bigger now. It's a bigger picture about the whole punk scene, and we got so many cool people in the documentary. We filmed at the Goldfinger show. We filmed at the festival last year. We're going to film at this year's festival. We did interviews with like I said, Mozart, John Ross Bowie from Big Bang Theory, Rick
Oh,
Ford,
cool.
Greg Hudson, Kevin Lyman, Unwritten Law, Zebrahead, Bowling for Soup, all these bands. And we're gonna be back in March, do some more filming at the Punk Rock Museum opening,
Yeah.
and also gonna do interview with John Feldman, Brett Gerbitz. Yeah,
Wow. That's awesome. Well, I can't
yeah,
wait to watch the documentary. That sounds really
yeah, me
cool.
too.
Yeah. And I heard it's also from the creators of the Fat Wreck
Yeah,
documentary.
exactly.
Yeah, that's cool. So this is going to be NOFX's last show. And so
Mhm.
is it going to be separate from the festival, or will they be playing on the festival grounds?
It's on the festival grounds.
Okay.
It's a separate show
Yeah.
because Spamfest is Saturday, Sunday, and Friday is the NoFX day, but it's the same location. Everything stays the same. It's just separated from the lineup from Spamfest.
Okay, cool.
Mm.
And so what were the biggest challenges you came across while putting together this festival? Because I'm sure it takes a lot of work to get all the bands and everything together.
Yeah, I think that the bands weren't a big problem because I always start pretty early for booking.
Okay.
It's we switched the venue because we had this festival directly in the center of Linz last time, but we wanted to go a little bit outside of the town to have a lake, camping, and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And this makes it all much more difficult because you don't have any infrastructure there. It's getting much more expensive, and the bands are since COVID and all these price increases, all the bands are getting much more expensive.
Mhm.
Um, that's that's a little that's pretty hard right now because, like I said, everything is getting much more expensive, and you have to deal with tons of stuff. And also, we have some other big major festivals in Austria.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's not that easy, but
Yeah.
I think we created a pretty good lineup, and
Mhm.
the venue is awesome. It's the stage is directly at the lake, and
Yeah.
you can hang out there. It's like a holiday, and
Yeah.
yeah, I'm pretty excited
Definitely.
about this. But we're
Yeah.
also planning to do another festival in the first Spamfest in Germany, in Berlin, and in
Mhm.
fall this year. And we're already working on the first US Spamfest for 2024.
Oh, cool. Well,
Yeah.
I'm excited to see if that comes to the US because there's a lot of awesome bands on that lineup. So I'd really like to go see them. So
Yeah.
what's a record that you worked on recently that you're very proud of?
there are tons of records. I'm really excited about the new Diesel Boy album because
Okay.
I think it's been over 20 years since they
Yeah.
put out something. That's I'm pretty sure that's gonna turn out pretty good. And we just signed Versus the World.
Yeah.
It's project with with Chris from Lagwagon and Shaw Sellers from Good Riddance and Pulley, and yeah, Donald is singing from, and it's awesome. It's one of the best stuff I've ever heard. Yeah,
Cool.
it's huge, and um, I'm really excited to share this in summer. Yeah,
Yeah.
but we have so many cool releases coming up. We Chuckhead's Revenge, we just signed Mercy Music. They have a new album out this fall, or this
Okay.
summer. um yeah, tons of cool European bands. Yeah, we have a lot of stuff coming out this year, and yeah.
Cool. And so how do you find bands to have on your label and how do you decide which ones you're going to accept?
um yeah I always contact bands that I really like, and we're getting tons of emails, submissions for the label every day. It's pretty hard because there are a lot of good bands out there, and I would love to sign them all, but it's not possible to sign more than 12 bands a year
Mhm.
because you have to focus on the releases, and you can sign more, but then it's just a signing, and then you're gonna bring it out, but you can concentrate on them, and that's pretty hard. Yeah, and we're still growing. When you look at our label 2 years ago, we were much smaller, and we really have big plans for the future. We currently working on the office in the US. We want to
Yeah.
focus more in the US starting this year.
Cool.
um yeah, the plan is to go big.
Awesome. And what are some of the biggest challenges that you face as a record label?
um yeah the we had big problems with the vinyl crisis, with all these
Yeah.
pressing plants. There had huge delays, almost a year, and yeah, it's not that easy now because with all this crisis in the world, it's
Hmm.
like buying vinyl. It's more like luxury.
Yeah.
Um, that's pretty hard now, but seeing that all these live shows are coming back helps us a lot because we have tons of tours coming up with our
Hmm.
bands. But all this COVID stuff and all this problems with the pressing plants, it was pretty hard to deal with that because it cost so much money. We lost so much money because of that, because
Yeah.
no band was able to tour and we had so many albums out.
Yeah.
Um, that was a big problem, but now I'm really looking optimistic in the future, and I think it's getting way better. And yeah.
Yeah. I mean, those are very, I mean, I imagine it's very difficult with, all the COVID things.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, that's definitely a big challenge. So can you talk about what your label does for bands? Like, do you pay for recording and promotion, or like, what are some of the things that you do?
We always have different deals, but some bands are coming to our label and have all finished like the production, and we just work out a different deal. But some of our bands, we just send them to the studio, and we're gonna pay for the recording, mixing, mastering,
Mhm.
the manufacturing, of course, the promotion. Yeah, almost everything. Yeah,
Okay. So it's like everything.
yeah.
Okay. And so have you always wanted to have your own record label, or is it something that you never thought you'd originally want to do?
I never thought about having a label, and it had
Yeah.
really happened by accident, because I think the second Spam Fest we did some um charity sampler with all the bands on it for animal shelters, and we just released this not on the label. It was just our release to get to help to create some money for animal helps
Yeah.
shelters. And shortly after that, a lot of bands contacted us if we're going to release the new album, and I haven't thought about this. And I think the starting point was Consumed, because I really liked this band when they were on Fat and
Hmm.
all the songs on Tony Hawk Pro Skater. And then I just said yes, and I think this was the starting point for the label, but I never had the plans to do a label.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, and it wasn't really our focus. My focus was always art and then some shows in the
Hmm.
festival. But then when COVID hit us, we had to cancel the festivals, all the shows. I couldn't do any artworks anymore because no band was touring.
Yeah.
Uh, and then we totally focused on the label because we had nothing else to do. And that's the only good thing on COVID, because without that, we we wouldn't have focused on the label
Yeah.
that much. And now this is the most one of the most important things at SBÄM. That's the most important thing in SBÄM. It's our
Yeah.
label. Mm.
And are there any upcoming releases you're especially excited for?
Yeah, it's Diesel Boy versus the World. We have this
Yeah.
cool Vienna band called the Ramparts. Um, yeah, we're talking to so many bands right now about new releases, and yeah, we have so many plans. I can't talk about that right now, but
Yeah.
we're
That's
glad
okay.
to have the new versus the World and new Diesel Boy record out, and also Chuckett's Ranch, and
Yeah.
yeah, I like them all.
Cool. That's awesome. And where can people get tickets for the festival?
Um, there are two ticket systems in Austria, Germany. It's basically Europe. It's called U-Ticket and
Okay.
Reserve It. Um, you can buy the tickets there, and they can also go on our website. It's called fest.spam.rocks. There are some ticket links, and yeah.
Okay, cool. And is there anything else in the works for SBÄM right now? Like, do you have any other events planned for the near future?
Yeah, we're currently working the full concentration is now on the Spam Fest in Austria, but we're already have almost finished the lineup for the Spam Fest in Berlin. It's the first one in Germany. It's gonna be pretty small for the first time, but we want to build our festival there for the future. We have a lot of club shows coming up with the Interrupters, for example.
Yeah.
Um, and we're currently also working on the Spam Fest in the US. It's planned to be in September next year.
Okay,
We're currently looking on at venues and locations, but it's going to be in California,
cool.
in the center of LA.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's the things we're working right now, and of course the documentary is a big thing for us.
Yeah.
The office opening in Arizona, and yeah, we're not getting bored.
Yeah. Well, that's all very exciting. So is there anything else you'd like to plug or mention before we go, like social media for the festival or anything?
Um, yeah, we our plan is to get as many people as possible to the festival, because it's really important for us. We have this rule that all people under 18 get free entry
Yeah.
to get a younger scene there. Um, uh, it's really important for us to have a diverse lineup.
Hmm.
We I think we have around 30% female acts this year. And the plan is to have 50% every year. So
Yeah.
it's split, and also for the label, we don't want to have all these just male bands at the
Hmm.
label and at the festival, because there's tons of festivals just have 1 or 2% female acts, and that's way
Yeah.
too less. And
Yeah.
we want to change that, and especially also the younger generation. When I think with all these bands, our average age of the audience is around 35 to 40 sometimes. And then we started this 2 years ago or 3 years ago, that all the people under 18
Mhm.
free entry, and it kind of pays off now. We just did a show on Monday with the UK subs, and almost half of the audience were under 25. That
Yeah.
was, yeah.
Well, I think
The
that's
band or the
cool.
singer is almost 80.
Yeah. But that's cool that you're like trying to get some younger people into the shows so they can kind of you know, find out about that music. So that's really cool. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview with me. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was great talking to you. All right. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks.
Bye.
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 Hey, hello, it's nice to meet ya.